Hello.
Hey!
Hey, hi. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Awesome. I just picked some chives. Thought you might like them out of the garden. Yeah.
Okay, groovy. What do I need to know?
Well, use the softer stems.
Okay.
The ones with the flowers on them are a bit more woody, so you probably don't want to use those in cooking so much.
Right, okay, but I can keep the flowers.
You can keep the flowers and use them later.
Perfect. Now, how do I make sure that I get a good crop next year?
Well, you know what? In May or June, once the flowers start to bud,
Yeah.
you'd want to pick them off.
Okay.
And then that lets the energy go into the plant rather than into the flower.
And they're perennial. They just come back year
they'll
after
come
year.
back again next year.
Great. And they're one of the first things to come up.
They are. Yay! Yeah, it's pretty exciting in spring.
We're going to make some chive shakshuka. Come back, I'll feed you.
Oh, that sounds so good.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
This morning, breakfast at Rosehurst is going to be full of high nutrient foods. Now, we all know that breakfast is the most important meal of the day, but what you don't know is why. What it does is it sets your blood sugar level for the day and sets you up with the nutrients to go. So, everything that comes out of the garden is good. Today, we're working with these chives. Now, the chive heads are actually edible and they're really, really beautiful. What I do sometimes is I just take one of these and put it in a little jar of vinegar, and it will flavor and color the vinegar, and that's beautiful for the salad. Once they get to this stage, they are a little bit tough down in the lower ends, so you might not want to use them. Use the tops and the softer ends. We're going to make a chive drizzle that can sit in the refrigerator for a week or two because it's based in oil. Extra virgin olive oil, and I'm going to use just the tops here. This one's really stiff. You can see how tough that is. That will just be grassy. We'll throw that out. These ones go in here. This drizzle can be a part of a salad dressing. It can be put over your fish or chicken, but we're going to use it in a shakshuka. So the shakshuka is the highlight of this meal, and it's basically baked eggs. But first, the drizzle. Now, these are all going inside here. And a little bit of extra virgin olive oil, about 3/4 of a cup. Bam. This is apple cider vinegar, which I truly love. Balsamic vinegar has been sort of a popular ingredient for some time, but apple cider vinegar tends to, I'm just gonna hug my blender here. Apple cider vinegar tends to be a little bit more acidic, but really good for digestion. So however much oil you use, you want to use about half that amount of the vinegar, and that will make it not too bitter. Speaking of bitter, a little bit of honey to flavor this and sweeten it up, but it also makes it a little different texture, so it's a little bit sticky. Ooh. And a tiny bit of sea salt. Now remember, you want a maximum of a teaspoon of salt per day. So that, when I say a tiny bit, that's it, and that's going to be divided by a number of people over a number of days, right? So it's a pinch. A little bit of fresh black pepper, and then we're going to whiz this all up so that it's a bright green drizzle. Now, make sure that's pounded in there. Because the kitchen here at Rosehurst is open, I want a non-noisy blender so I can make smoothies without waking people up. I'm going to set this on puree. Now, I'm not going to tell you how long to blend it because every blender is different. What I'm going to show you is the size of your chive has to be really tiny, and keep blending until you get the color you want. So if it's not quite green enough, you add a few more chives. I think that's a beautiful, beautiful green. Done. Now let's get to our shakshuka, which really is a Middle Eastern word, Middle Eastern dish. They're way better at getting vegetables into their meals than we are. We tend to have, here in North America, our high carb foods. I want you to have high nutrient, high protein foods because that's going to set you up for the day. But it doesn't have to be health food sawdust, right? It can be really quite delicious. So shakshuka means mixture. Any kind of vegetable mixture, leftover soup, like a broccoli soup or tomato sauce, anything. Now you can make your own tomato sauce, which we will do at the end of the summer, or you can buy your favorite. Now, here's the thing. Tomato sauce and bread are the number 1 and number 2 ways that we get sodium in our diets. So you've really got to watch the labels when you're purchasing anything. Bread, and bread, it's not that the sodium is so high, it's actually that we eat so much of it. So that is what is contributing to the salt in our day. In Canada, we have about twice the amount of sodium in our diet than we are supposed to have. So there is a nice low sodium sauce, and the trick with this is that I can, here at the B&B, get the sauce ready, set these dishes all up, and people can come downstairs and have their yogurt and fruit and all that kind of stuff. This takes me just a few minutes to pop into the oven. So that's really it. And let's make sure that's off. I'm going to crack, these are eggs that my friend Jebediah from up the street is a chicken farmer. He brought me these eggs, and what he's done for me is he's given me the doubles. That's why they're so big. But they're farm fresh eggs, and they should have twins. They should have 2 yolks in them, which I think is beautiful. And it's really quite simple. Oh, look! Oh, they're so pretty. That's really all it takes. So what happens is when we bake these, the eggs are actually cooked by the hot sauce. So whatever the broth or saucy, stewy, whatever it is that you've put in the bottom, any mixture, beans, baked beans would be good, goes in the bottom, warm, so it's already starting to cook. And then we crack the eggs in. And it goes into about a 350-degree oven. If you have a convection feature, use it. People don't really know what the convection feature is in their ovens, and they have it and they don't use it. It speeds up the temperature and moves the air around so that you actually get a prettier color and a more even cook. And the trick is you're reducing your temperature by 25 degrees and your time by 25%. That's the only trick you need to have in terms of making the mixture. So let's, in terms of using the convection oven. So let's get back to our drizzle, and I'm going to pour it into a beautiful dish that will just drizzle over top of the shakshuka at the end. So really the only trick to making stuff beautiful for B&B, as opposed to, serving and eating out of the pan at home like I do all by myself, is to make sure that you're serving in complementary colors. The whole thing is about making it look beautiful. We eat with our eyes, and that green and yellow will complement the red. Absolutely beautiful. Okay, so we're gonna drizzle that on the eggs, and the nice yellow will go with the tomato sauce, and we'll move on to making homemade yogurt, which is super simple. We're gonna make it in a cooler.